Touch delay, and good morning, everyone. I'm Nzumchung Tashi, the project manager of Dalai Lama Trust, and I'm glad that you all are here today to join us as we investigate the impacts of contemplative practices during the ETSI Monastic Research Conference and Workshop. This conference is co-hosted by the Dalai Lama Trust and the Emory University, which has a long-standing ties with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. On behalf of the Trust, I would like to welcome all the distinguished guests, Rajesh Sharma, the SPD of Himachal Pradesh, and his colleagues, Dean Barbara Krothammer, and the whole team from Emory University, particularly Gishi Lobsang Tenzin Negila, the Executive Director of the Center for Contemplative Science and Compassion-Based Ethics, and Dr. Sitan Drogala, Associate Director for Emory Tibetan Science Initiative, John Cunningham, and David Nasser from Templeton Foundation, Mr. Jingme Nanje, Secretary of Department of Education, Central Tibetan Administration, and Gishi Lhagdo, Director of Library of Tibetan Works and Archives, and Professor Robert Ross of Penn State University. I would also like to welcome Mr. Ajay Piramal Ji, Chairman of Piramal Group, and Aditya Nataraj Ji, CEO of Piramal Foundation, Saurabh Jori Ji, and Mona Jayaram. Okay. Hello. So sorry. There's a little bit technical issue with this mic. Okay. So I would also like to welcome Mr. Ajay Piramal Ji, Chairman of Piramal Group, and Aditya Nataraj Ji, CEO of Piramal Foundation, Saurabh Jori Ji, and Mona Jayaram Ji, co-founders and the directors of the School of Education System Change, Piramal School of Leadership, as well as all the speakers, attendees, guests, students, and the staff gathered here. I wish that this event would inspire all of us. The Dalai Lama Trust, which is co-hosting this event, is a charitable wing of Office of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and our objectives are in alignment with His Holiness commitments, which include the propagation of education, secular ethics, and the sciences. This is why we are delighted to be able to host this conference with Emory University, which is consolidated relationship with His Holiness the Dalai Lama by establishing the Emory Tibetan Partnership in 1998 after years of dialogue with His Holiness, who is also the Presidential Distinguished Professor at the same university. This partnership gave rise to the Emory Tibet Science Initiative, which is a scientific curriculum developed specifically for Tibetan monastic students and a sea learning and educational framework based on the fundamentals of secular ethics with curricula for kindergarten through to university. The Center for Contemplative Science and Compassion-Based Ethics was later established to house these programs and the future programs that will be born from this special relationship, including CBCT, Cognitively Based Compassion Training, and the various other university programs. Earlier today, you might have attended the audience with His Holiness and the exhibition of a SEAL Learning in Action across India by the Piramal Foundation. We will now be commencing the SEAL Learning panel discussion, which will be addressing the critical need for educating the heart and the mind. I hope you all are looking forward to learning more about these programs, which are not only beneficial, but very essential in our current education landscape. I once again welcome you all here today and request Gishi Lozang Tenzin Negila and Saurabh Jori Ji to start the introduction of this expert panel discussion on SEAL Learning. Thank you so much, and I wish you all an informative event ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Tashila. So Tashidela, and good morning to everyone. It is with great honor and profound gratitude that I welcome you all to this momentous occasion at the Dalai Lama Library and Archives, this esteemed venue, imbued with His Holiness's wisdom and compassion, sets a perfect stage for this morning. As the director of the Center for Contemplative Science and Compassion-Based Ethics at Emory University, I'm privileged to stand here alongside Dr. Barbara Krauthammer, the Dean of Emory College of Art and Sciences, distinguished professors, dedicated Emory staff, and a remarkable group of Emory study abroad students in the Tibetan mind-body sciences. Representing an institution that has the distinct honor of having His Holiness as our distinguished presidential professor is a profound privilege for all of us. Our collaboration with His Holiness, spanning over 25 years, has been driven by a shared vision of an education that nurtures both heart and mind. This partnership has birthed 3 pioneering programs, as Zimshun Tashila mentioned: the Emory Tibet Science Initiative, or ETSI, Cognitively Based Compassion Training, or the CBCT, and Social, Emotional, and Ethical Learning, or C-Learning. These initiatives epitomize our commitment to integrating contemplative practices with modern education to cultivate compassion, ethical awareness, and a holistic development. Emory staff, the student, and the venerable monastics have gathered here for a 4-day program to celebrate an important chapter of Emory Tibet Science Initiative's ongoing journey. But today, we are also marking a historic milestone with the soft launching of C-Learning in Himachal Pradesh. This is particularly poignant as it unfolds in the state that has been the home to His Holiness for over 6 decades. We deeply appreciate Piramal Foundation's support in realizing this endeavor. Earlier today, a letter of intent was signed between the Piramal Foundation and the government of Himachal Pradesh in the presence of His Holiness, marking a significant step towards in our mission. I want to acknowledge Mr. Rajesh Sharma, the State Program Director of Himachal Pradesh government, whose efforts are pivotal in implementing this educational program locally. Over the past 5 years, thanks to philanthropic support of Shri Ajay Piramal, the Piramal Foundation has embraced our program in C-Learning and CBCT, implementing them broadly across India. Their remarkable efforts have led to the introduction of C-Learning in over 100,000 schools in 5 states. And these states are Rajasthan, Odisha, Jharkhand, Jammu Kashmir, and Madhya Pradesh, and the representative from these states are here with us today. Thank you very much for being here. Additionally, their work is in integrating compassion into healthcare, particularly in Bihar, is a testament of their deep commitment to the society. I warmly welcome Shri Ajay Piramalji, one of India's foremost industrialists, philanthropist, and the chairman of Piramal Group. Your profound support through the foundation has been crucial in expanding our programs and making a huge impact across India. We are equally grateful to have Mr. David Nasser, the Vice President at the John Templeton Foundation, and Mr. John Cunningham, the Director at the Templeton Foundation, whose unwavering support has sustained the Emory Tibet Science Initiative's program over a decade now. I'm grateful for my colleague, Dr. Rob Rosser, a foremost scientist whose work has formed what we know today as social, emotional, and ethical learning, to be here to present what the science demonstrates about the values that we are promoting here. I'm particularly grateful to Venerable Geshe Lhatullah, sitting next to me, an esteemed scholar and a leading spiritual figure in the Tibetan world today, for his presence. His unwavering support and guidance at every step of our programs have been instrumental in their success. As we embark on these 4 days of exploration and reflection, let us remain inspired by the remarkable achievements we celebrate today. The critical need for compassion in our education and society has never been more apparent. Through sea learning, we take a crucial step forward towards this future where education transcends mere academics to cultivate humane and ethical world. Thank you again. Thank you all for being here and for your unwavering support and commitment to this novel vision. And finally, I would like to express my deep gratitude to Zomjon Tashila and everyone here at the Dalai Lama Trust for co-sponsoring this 4-day event here at the library. Thank you so much. And now, it is my honor to request Lakshita ji and Vaibhav ji to please to run the program.
Thank you. Is this working? Yeah.
Thank you, Geshila. I'm Lakshika and I'm accompanied by my colleague Vaibhav, and I once again welcome you all. As we begin today's conversations, please join us in welcoming Dean Barbara Krotheimer of the Emory University College of Arts and Sciences. Dean Barbara is a visionary leader, an awarded writer, and a dedicated teacher and mentor who is widely recognized as a leading historian of African American slavery and emancipation in the United States. Please also join me in welcoming our chairman, Mr. Ajay G. Piramal, from the Piramal Group, who is a renowned industrialist and philanthropist dedicated to social change through education and healthcare initiatives. We welcome both of you to please award certificates to our CBCT and C Learning senior teachers. If you could both rise, please, and come to the front of the stage. And I also request Professor Lobsang Tenzing Negi Keshala and Mr. Aditya Natraj to please join our guests on the stage.
Tashi Dede, namaste and good morning. So, for the certification ceremony, we first invite the individuals who are receiving their cognitively based compassion training, senior teacher certificates today. This group of senior teachers will serve as enablers of compassion within Piramal Foundation and across the country, serving aspirational districts, tribal communities, public systems across domains like education, health, climate, and digitization of public services. So I now invite CBCT senior teachers to receive their certificates. First one is Monal Jairam, Director at School of Education and System Change, Piramal School of Leadership. Next, Bharat Kumar, co-team member Anamayadi Tribal Health Collaborative. Ishan Sharma, Program Director, School of Education and System Change, Piramal School of Leadership. Lakshika Pant, Program Director, Organization Development at Piramal Foundation. Tripti Mishra, Program Director, School of Health, Piramal Foundation. And the last one,
The last one in the sequence is Anshu Dubey, Senior Program Director, School of Education and Systems Change at the Piramal School of Leadership. Many congratulations, everyone. Okay. We now invite the individuals who are receiving their SEAL Learning Senior Teacher Certificates today. This group of senior teachers will serve as enablers of our goal to expand our impact through SEAL learning from the 100,000 schools. We are currently serving to all the schools and all the students across 8 key states over the next 2 years, and to all the schools across India through national channel over the next 7 years. In the sequence, I would invite.
Thank you. So, Sandeep Saini. Shilpa Amrawat. Toiba. Ishan Sharma. Lakshika Pant. Monal Jairam. And
Anshu Dubey. Thank you, everyone. And again, many, many congratulations to all the people who have been certified today. Many congratulations. We extend our best wishes to this group of leaders. Now we request our chairman, Mr. Ajay Piramal, to please grace us with his thoughts on this occasion.
मेरी हाइट में थोड़ा फर्क है सर, काफी ज्यादा और कर दो थोड़ा जी, बहुत ज्यादा हो गया। It's okay? Good morning. I really feel it's a great pleasure, but even more a greater blessing to be here today, this morning, to first get the blessings of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who I've had the good fortune of meeting a few times in the past, but the first time in his own temple. So that's a very special occasion for me and for all of us, I would say. I'm very happy also to be here to address you dedicated leaders who are committed to fostering a compassionate teaching, learning, school education system in India. I want to express my gratitude to His Holiness for hosting us here and really blessing this whole initiative and, in fact, being the foundation on which this whole initiative has been built. We are grateful for Emory University and all the dignitaries from there, Dean Barbara, the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, Professor Robert Roser, who has been working for several decades on this program. How do you bring science and spirituality, the connection between the two? The Penn State, John Cunningham, the director of the Templeton Foundation, Geshe Lakdo, the director, Library of Tibetan Works and Archives, and of course, our friend, Professor Lobsang Tenzing Negi, the executive director for Compassion Center, Emory University. His Holiness, Emory University have been the key drivers in this efforts for preserving of the knowledge of ancient India and have mixed it with science, and they have championed the need for emotional resilience with children through school education. We all know of the traumas that people are going through in this country and perhaps all over the world with social media and all the challenges. And this is a program which brings in the best of what is available in the ancient Indian culture and tradition and marries it with science. I deeply resonate with this, for I do believe that holistic education has a transformative impact. In 2019, the Piramal Foundation signed an agreement with Emory University to take the curriculum of social emotional ethical learning to 5,000 schools. Today, I'm very happy to say that we have taken C learning to 100,000 public schools across the states of Rajasthan, Jammu and Kashmir, MP, Jharkhand, Orissa, and with these state governments. And I'm very happy that many representatives of these states have come here and shared their experience with us. It just gives us that much more confidence and that much more encouragement to continue with this program and to expand this program as well. I'm also now keenly looking forward to sharing this partnership between the state government of Himachal Pradesh, where their director is Mr. Sharma, is present today, the Piramal Foundation and Emory University to take the sea learning to the children of Himachal. I'm much inspired with the time I have been privileged to share with His Holiness, and one consistent message that he has been giving all throughout his life, and he repeated it several times today, is how compassion and love in the hearts of everybody is the same, irrespective of religion, irrespective of culture, irrespective of which part of the world to come from. The love that a mother has for the child, wherever it is the same. The love that the mother of an animal has for a child is also the compassion, which is what. And when we met with the Dalai Lama's team, Geshe, as with Emory University, we realized that in our foundation as well, this was the basis of which the foundation was formed. Our foundation is formed on the basis of Seva Bhav. Seva Bhav is not really the way we would like to describe Seva Bhav, is not something that you are doing a favor to the person. When you are giving something, when you're imparting love, you're not giving a favor to the person. You are in fact gaining as much, if not more, than what the person you're supposed to give. The seva bhav is really when the mother feeds the child. I think there's so much of love and emotion that we believe that whatever we do in our foundation needs to have that same love. And we have been trying to inculcate that in our team. And I'm happy to say that they are doing it in that way. And therefore, when we met with Emory University, when we met with Geshe-la, we realized that it was really all three of us in some ways were meeting the same, we were doing the same thing. Here was the Dalai Lama, His Holiness, who had the real deep knowledge and practice of the scriptures. Emory brought in the science, and we brought in the practice on the ground. So that was, in some ways, I would say, a perfect matching and a perfect union of the three. The guiding light, my own guiding light, has been the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. The Gita talks about all of us as really trustees. We are trustees of whatever has been bestowed upon us, whether it is our knowledge, whether it is our intelligence, whether it is our wealth, whatever it is, we are trustees. This has been bestowed upon us by the Lord. And our role as trustees is to see, as any trustee does, to see that the beneficiaries, who are the beneficiaries? The beneficiaries are, as society, is people around us, how we can do to them. And that is the basis of the foundation. The purpose of our group has been doing well and doing good and serving people and making a positive difference in their lives. So whether we are in business, our businesses have to perform well, because if they don't perform well, there is no way. That's the oxygen which actually supports these activities. That's what the Templeton Foundation does. That's what all of us do. If we did not do well, I don't think we could have done the activities we're doing. So doing well, but the activities should also do good. Similarly, in our foundation also we believe that we have to do good, but we have to also perform well. We have to have impact. And that's what I think all of you would have experienced today also when you met so many of the beneficiaries, whether it was the principal education officers, whether it was teachers, whether it was the students. I think there has been a change, a difference in their way. That's how I would say is impact that we do. You know, I always say, or actually it's not me, it's all the scriptures say, that probably in some ways we human beings are the most selfish of all. If you were to take a look at nature, today nature is one thing which provides everything to us, gives us without us giving back. However rich you were, when COVID you experienced, if you did not have oxygen, what would happen? I know people were scrambling to get an oxygen sometimes. And so many people would use so much influence to get into a hospital just to get oxygen. And here we are breathing oxygen every second of our life. Nature is giving us so much selflessly. The food we eat, the fruits we eat, water that we get, but we only consume. So I think our foundation belief is that we must also in our own lives, each one of us has to make a positive difference to the world around us. It reminds me of my famous story, which many people in my foundation have heard, but I will repeat it. That's the story of a squirrel. I know that now. Ramayana is one of our big old scripts. It's really a story which has gone on for thousands of years. where the Lord Ram's wife, Sita, has been kidnapped by by a Rakshas. What's the right word for Rakshas? Anyway, by Ravan. And there's a bridge that has to be built across the sea. While the bridge is being built by all bigger animals, it's also a squirrel who goes and puts in bits of sand to build the bridge. The bigger, larger animals make fun of the squirrel. And that's when the Lord says, he picks up the squirrel, he strokes the squirrel on the back, and says that each one has a role to play. The squirrel is as important as the big person carrying the boulder. That's why if you see, look at it now, there are lots of forests here. The Indian squirrel has always got stripes. That's because the Lord had put his hands on the back of the squirrel. One other important principle we have in our foundation is the basis of humility. We all believe that it is only a humble person can actually do service. And that is the true. Humility is recognizing that what we are doing, we are helping somebody else, but we are gaining as much. So that is the humility that we have there. Our foundation today is in about 28 states. We are working in the space of education. We are working in the space of health, clean drinking water. And till now, we have touched the lives of 113 million people. You have met some of our team members here. You must have met some of our young fellows. This is another program we have, the Gandhi Fellowship, where we take people who are either who've done their, in the US language, undergrad, but in India we call it graduate school, or postgraduate or graduate as you would call it in the US. Ask them to work for 2 years with us in some of the most challenging areas. We train them to be leaders. And you have met some of them, and I'm happy to say that this year we took about 700 people. And the number of young people who applied for that was 10,000 in the country. So it's comparable to the best universities globally. I looked at numbers at the Harvard Business School. There were lesser applicants for 800 seats than there are here. So just shows. Similarly, we have a fellowship for women, Karuna Fellowship. These are women who have had challenges in life. They could be single women, they could be women who are from economically backward classes, whatever it is. And we try and make them come and make them independent wage earners so that they get the respect in the society. We are also building a new school of leadership where we will be inculcating these things. So this is some of the activities, but today I am really happy to say that we have signed this up with the Himachal government. I know the support that you have given, and look forward to developing and building this relationship so that Himachal, the children of Himachal also benefit, and not only do the children of Himachal, but the children ultimately of the country will also benefit. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your very inspiring words. We also have the opportunity to have Dean Barbara Krothammer here with us today. We would invite you to please also share your thoughts with us. Would you like to come here? Or?
I think so. That's That's good. Thank you. Well, good morning. It's almost afternoon. Good afternoon. First, I want to thank my colleagues and everyone from the Dalai Lama Trust for hosting us. This is a truly monumental experience for me. I'm sure for my colleagues from Emory, especially the students. I'm so happy to see our students here. Is that better? Okay. Ooh. Yeah, good. Thank you. Geshe Lobsang, where did he go? Has been a tremendous friend and ally and partner with me since I got to Emory 1 year ago. And our friends at Piramal, the minute I had a conversation with them in March of this year, I knew immediately how strong our relationship, Emory's relationship with Piramal Foundation was already, and also had the pleasure of imagining how much stronger it could become as we continued this work, as we looked forward to bringing Sea Learning, the curriculum developed at Emory for social, emotional, and ethical learning, to Himachal Pradesh. And so it's so excited that the letter was signed today in the presence of His Holiness. We are all here today, I think, as the beneficiaries, but also carrying the responsibility to deliver on the vision of His Holiness, to teach compassion and to live compassion. And I was thinking last night that we're really all here because we believe in many ways in the power of education. I come from a family where earlier generations prior to my parents didn't have the opportunities to gain an education. And my grandfather, my mother's father, always said to myself to get an education because it's the most valuable thing you can have, and it can never be taken away from you. But the other thing he said was that to get an education meant you had a responsibility to do good with your education, to make a contribution to the lives of others through your education, that you weren't getting an education just for yourself, but that it was for your family, for your community, and for the wider world. And those are words that I have always lived by, and I believe, for me, that idea of doing good with your education both fits with our work with the Piramal Foundation, with that idea of doing well and also doing good, and is also so important to the mission of Emory University, right? The mission of our university is to create, teach, and preserve knowledge in the service of humanity. So for our students, you're having this wonderful experience here, and I hope that you'll take that back when we go back to Atlanta and think about your role in bringing knowledge through the idea of service and being of service to your communities, whether it's in your classroom, where you live, the other students you interact with, and as you go through life, how your education, how your knowledge, both the knowledge that you've gained here in India, as well as the knowledge that you gain at Emory in the United States, will allow you and help you to be of service and to advance those ideals of compassion. It's also my privilege to work with faculty at Emory who are so deeply committed to these ideals of teaching, and I hope that through continued efforts with Geshe Lobsang, that we can continue to bring the values of Sea Learning and the cognitively based compassion training to our faculty at Emory and then to our students. That part of learning is very much about understanding not just what you're learning, but how you're learning it and how what you're learning is enabling you to understand yourself better and to understand the ways that you can connect with people and the ways that we are connected to each other and also to the natural world, right, to our environment, both the physical places that we live and work, but also the natural world around us. And Geshe Lobsang, and then we also heard from Mr. Piramal about oxygen, and it was Geshe Lobsang who started me thinking about that every breath we're inhaling life-giving oxygen, and that's something that connects all of us every moment of every day. And so to be much more mindful of that. And I hope in some respects that we can bring the work that we've developed at Emory, bring it closer to home, to our students and to our faculty. And so I'm very grateful to the entire group from Emory for making that commitment to be here this summer, to have these conversations, to learn about the exchange of scientific knowledge and ways of thinking, both from an Indian tradition, right, and from a Western tradition of science, and seeing that the two are very much intertwined, that they're not two separate ideas, but that they can really inform each other. Lastly, I will say that it truly feels like a blessing to be here this moment with all of you, to have met some of the teachers, to have met some of the students who have already engaged with Sea Learning, to hear from school administrators, women who talked about the ways that Sea Learning and being aware of themselves and their own position enabled them to be better leaders, better teachers, more compassionate with their staff and with their students. And so I want to say to those women, I understood exactly what you were saying of the importance, right, of as leaders in our fields, having that level of compassion, that level of humility, that level of valuing the opportunity to be connected and to be able to do good is a gift in itself, and to be able to share that gift with our students and with our colleagues just keeps returning that gift and growing the gift. And I'm very grateful to have met our colleagues from Piramal and the teachers and students that you have supported. And I look forward to hearing from my colleagues on the stage some more about the importance of the work that they're doing. So thank you.
Thank you, Dean Barbara, for emphasizing on the value of service and the power of education. We are also joined by Dr. Robert Roser, the Bennett Pierce Professor of Caring and Compassion at the Penn State. Dr. Roser's work is focused on school as key cultural context of human development and the use of contemplative practices in educational settings for human development for the school administrators and leaders, teachers and staff and students. We invite him to share his insights about the role compassion plays in school in social emotional development and how contemplative practices can enhance the effectiveness of schools and other educational institutions.
Good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to be with you. I want to welcome you with great love and respect. I'm so pleased to be in a room and on stage with such an august group of people who are committed to improving the lives of others. It makes me happy and optimistic. I want to give my gratitude to Geshe Lobsang Negi and the organizers for inviting me here. And I also, of course, want to express my heartfelt gratitude to His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, whose vision of engaging ancient contemplative wisdom with modern forms of science has changed both the practice of science and the lives of many scientists, including myself, and has led to practical applications such as the Sea Learning program, this vision of educating the head, the heart, and the hand simultaneously, and as we heard from Mr. Piramal, has planted the seeds of transformation in, no doubt, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of young people all over the world. Maybe we can start the slides. Thank you so much. So I think all of us here today recognize that we live in a time where it's critical to reimagine education. We need to do this in order to create, I believe, generational change that takes advantage of the many opportunities that are arising in the 21st century, but also the need to address the kinds of global challenges that we all face around climate, around social harmony, and around social equality. As many of you know, global organizations such as UNESCO have advocated for a unique kind of education that imparts to young people the kinds of social skills and dispositions that promote a culture of peace and global citizenship. And I think we might add the possibility of promoting flourishing for self, others, and nature. In addition, as we heard Mr. Piramal suggest, there is a worldwide problem of mental health challenges among young people, whether that's loneliness or sadness or depression. And I think many of us believe that a reimagined education can not only promote positive virtues and values, but can help prevent generations of young people from experiencing these problems before they develop in a significant way and snowball. And I'll just add parenthetically, that would be a boon to many nations' investments in public policy and education to be able to do that. There's been about 20 years of science now in the field of social emotional learning and mindfulness studies in education. And I can report that the science is very hopeful that the cultivation of social, emotional, and attentional skills alongside academic learning skills can support academic learning and motivation to learn, can indeed help to prevent and reduce different forms of emotional and behavioral problems. And unfortunately, we've looked at it less, but I suspect can also cultivate the kinds of dimensions of flourishing and caring for others that all of us are here talking about today. In fact, this is a growth area needed in the science of education to focus more on the cultivation of virtue across the entire lifespan, I believe. As we look at this work, the work in social emotional learning and mindfulness, however, one of the things that is noticeably absent, as my colleague Jazieri noted, is the focus on the important construct of care and compassion. As many of you know much better than I, compassion can be defined as a state of concern for someone else's suffering or unmet needs that is combined with a desire to alleviate that suffering or address that need. And we're just beginning in innovative programs like Sea Learning to understand the rudiments of compassion and how we may cultivate them systematically in classroom and whole school settings. The science of compassion has grown exponentially over the last decade, I would say, and we now have developed an account of the long evolution of compassion over 3 million years in both our human ancestors and the ancestors of human Homo sapiens. And this is being studied in fields as diverse as comparative anatomy and biology, where we see empathy and the rudiments in compassion in other species, in the field of anthropology, where we now believe it really wasn't the survival of the fittest, but the survival of the most cooperative and perhaps compassionate that mattered, and in the field that occupies my heart this life, developmental science, the study of human development. Scientists have identified both the psychological components of compassion as well as the associated neurobiological features of those components in the brain. So we now know that compassion, from a scientific point, we've known this for a much longer period of time, involves recognizing suffering, so we have to be aware of the suffering of others. We have to be moved by that suffering in some way to empathize with it and see that person as just like me. We have to be able to tolerate the suffering of the other and not get overwhelmed by it, so we become concerned with our own distress as opposed to helping the other. And then we need to be motivated to help and, if possible, act with skillfulness and wisdom to do whatever we can. And each of those different skills we now know can be taught in a systematic manner in educational settings, and presumably through training those skills, we're actually strengthening the underlying substrates of those skills in the body and the brain. As the saying goes, train your mind and change the body and the brain. This is the basic theory that we're operating with. In the study of human development, we've learned a great deal, although there's so much more to learn, about what might be considered the early arising or perhaps innate features of compassion, those that we come into this life with and those that are learned. We know that infants in the first year of life respond to the suffering of others. We know that there's a preference for people who help rather than harm others. That's there very early in development. We see spontaneous help giving, and we even see tremendous joy when sharing in the first 2 years of life. So much is happening right at the beginning of the lifespan. At the same time, we know by age 2, young children will start to feel a sense of in-group and out-group, and even want to punish others that they see as different. And most of the societal biases and prejudices we see based on race or caste or social class or gender are actually learned by 3 to 5 years of age. So the focus on a developmental perspective, the focus on education, and the need to upregulate these early arising instincts towards compassion and modify and work with other tendencies that come online very early with the development of a sense of self and identity, I don't think can be understated. And so it's been a great pleasure and honor to watch Geshe Lobsang and his group at Emory develop the C learning model, which focuses on those very elements and skills and dispositions I just talked about around awareness, motivation to care, discernment, and learning how to become a force for good in the world, that kind of a person. And the research is going on all over the world, is trying to catch up with the wonderful expansion of the work in so many countries, including India. We heard the numbers. And there's very exciting new data that should be forthcoming. In the US, for instance, we have initial indications of the importance of the C learning program for cultivating perspective-taking skills, the ability to understand the views and feelings of another, and actually to capitalize on that perspective taking to feel that sense of concern and desire to alleviate suffering. And in the coming days, more and more research will be available on the Sea Learning program in India and in many different countries of the world. So I just want to end by saying it's been a great honor to be with you and to be part of this work, Geshe-la, as the sort of the guru scientist of the Western world. Einstein once said, as we face AI, as we face climate change, as we face migration, as we face all of these challenges, the fate of humankind hinges entirely upon human beings' moral development, and how wonderful that the Sea Learning program and others are aiming to cultivate that in a virtuous direction.
Thank you, Dr. Rosa. Thank you so much. We now invite Dr. Lobsang Tenzing Negi, Mr. Aditya Nataraj, Ms. Monal Jairam, and Mr. Saurabh Johari on stage for the launch of Bhavnaon Ki Kahaniyan. It's a collection of experiences and learnings from Piramal Foundation's work on social, emotional, and ethical learning over the last few years. Okay.
So you may also, with the book, we all can stand.
Yes. Please.
We all can stand.
Please. Thank you. And on this occasion, we are very, very happy to announce the launch of Social, Emotional, and Ethical Learning Program in Himachal Pradesh in partnership between Department of Education, Government of HP, and Piramal Foundation. So I invite Mr. Saurabh Johari and Mr. Rajesh Sharma ji for the signing ceremony. Okay. Thank you, Saurabh. And we request Mr. Rajesh Sharma ji to share a few words on this occasion.
Thank you, ma'am. Dignitaries on the dais, very prominent audience, my colleagues from the Department of Education, Himachal. This is going to be a historical day in the history of Himachal Pradesh, when a letter of intent were actually exchanged. We couldn't sign the MOU, we thought that we'll do, but as you know that we have an election in India and the court does not permit. But we're going to sign it in the next month after 5th any time. So, on behalf of the government of Himachal Pradesh, I actually thank the chairperson of the Piramal Foundation and other stakeholders in this journey, and Mr. Tenzin Negiji, who is giving it back to the soil. He comes from Himachal, so it's like giving back to the soil. That's very important. Himachal is a state, let me actually, just to apprise you what is the landscape of education department in the state of Himachal. We are 55,763 square kilometer area in the state of Himachal. That's the geographical location, geographical area of the state of Himachal. It's a small state having 12 districts. We have got 15,900 schools in the state of Himachal Pradesh. That means we have all kind of school, elementary, pre-elementary, high school, and the senior secondary schools. That makes it 15,900 schools in the state of Himachal Pradesh, which is taking care of 9 lakh of students in the state of Himachal Pradesh. So I thought that let me give you a little overview. We came into existence in 1971. So it is a newly born state that way, but we did quite well in education in the state of Himachal. In 90s, if we speak Himachal vis-a-vis other states of India, we were actually neck to neck with Kerala, which is, the #1 state in the field of education in this country. And Amratya and Jean Draghi, who wrote a book, India in Development, if you have gone, any one of you, there are 5 chapters dedicated on the journey of education in the state of Himachal. And that speaks that we did quite good in every disciplines. It may be the learning outcomes, it may be the infrastructures, it may be the school buildings, it may be the resources or whatsoever. We did quite well. But in the recent past, we have certainly gone down. The NAS suggests that we have really drifted down. Our positions have gone down. But that's not critical. What is critical that in a country like India, when this year, who is the topper of the country, scoring 100% of marks in the School Board of Education, and after a week, she commits suicide. That's where the problem arises, and that's where I think we all are here today to sort out. It's not that India did not have this kind of system in the past. India had this system in the past. We have these mutts, we have gurukuls where our children used to go and, learn these all values which we are talking today. We have monasteries, we have taksilas, which were the seat of excellence in education in the whole world at that point of time. Taxila got burnt and got burnt for many days. That's a history here. Many temples got burnt. Many seats of education got burnt. Still these values somehow survived in our system. The problem started when, I don't want to talk about the brutal part of our history, but it started when Macaulay gave a new education policy to the country. He was that time, he was the Lord Macaulay, you must have heard about him. And those values which were there deeply imbibed in our education system got eroded over the period of time. And that was the folly which actually happened to the Indian education system, if we talk about the history. But जैसे हम कहते हैं हिंदी में, देर आए दुरुस्त आए. So, I mean, it's never too late. So if we are today talking about this, it is important, it is critical for the generations who are going to, handle this nation in the coming future. I personally feel that this university with the very eminent professors where the science and the practices are going to be put together. And they have already done it in many states. I got opportunity to, visit their stalls today, to interact with people from Jharkhand, Rajasthan, Jammu, Kashmir, Odisha, and many other states where these programs have already been launched. We have a very good results. And I mean, the national education policy, certain components actually talk about what has been launched today. And I'm sure, though education is in the concurrent list, we are not driven by what federal government decides for us in education. The state sometimes decides, but this is an area where I don't think that my government, there is a mandate from my secretary and from the Honorable Chief Minister of the state and from the Honorable Education Minister of the state that we are going to imbibe these values into our educational system. We are going to learn it from the states where it has already been launched, and we are going to, see how it can be done. Because right now I see it in two parts. What could I observe in a day or two? There is a little of formal on this side of this component, and there is something called very informal. So we will see, and I personally feel that this has to be imbibed in our curriculums. It should not be a top-on program on the existing things, but it has to be, in our regular curriculum. We will see how our, the total durations of a one day, we can spare some time for these values. So I assure you, sir, that your efforts and the efforts from the Emory Universities and the people sitting on this side who are supporting this program, we will not disappoint you. Himachal is a good learner, and we will not disappoint you on this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We're also joined today by many students who've been experiencing the C-Learning program as part of their curriculum. We've invited two students, Monica and Sophia, to share some of their experiences with us. If you can come and join us, please. Monica will be sharing about how C-Learning activities like classroom agreements and others have changed the classroom environment for her. And Sophia is going to share with us how C-Learning has helped her regulate her own emotions.
Thank you. Good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. मेरा नाम मोनिका है और मैं क्लास 9th की स्टूडेंट हूँ. मैं MDGS किठाना राजस्थान से आई हूँ और मैं यहाँ पर एज ए सील चैम्पियन आई हूँ. मैं आपको बताना चाहूँगी कि किस प्रकार सी लर्निंग की एक्टिविटीज़ ने हमारे क्लास रूम के एनवायरनमेंट को चेंज किया। तो बहुत सारी एक्टिविटीज़ जो हम करते हैं उन्हीं में से एक है क्लासरूम एग्रीमेंट। क्लासरूम एग्रीमेंट वैसे ही होता है जैसे हम अदर एग्रीमेंट्स होते हैं। उसमें हम एक चार्ट लेते हैं और उस पर लिखते हैं जो हम अपनी क्लास में रूल्स बनाना चाहते हैं, जो हम चाहते हैं कि क्लास में हो। और जब हम ये क्लासरूम एग्रीमेंट बना रहे होते हैं तब हमें एक चीज़ ध्यान में रखनी होती है कि क्या हम ये रूल्स फॉलो कर सकते हैं और हमारे फ्रेंड्स भी इसको कर सकते हैं नहीं। और इसके साथ ही हमें ये न लगे कि ये किसी ने हमें कहा है, हमारे ऊपर इसको थोपा है, तो इसके लिए हम सभी अपने सिग्नेचर भी इस पर करते हैं और हमारे टीचर्स से भी कराते हैं। और इसी के साथ एक और जो हम बनाते हैं वो होता है खुशियों का पिटारा। जब कभी भी हमारे साथ वाव मोमेंट्स होते हैं तो हम उन किसी भी चिट में लिखकर उनको उस पिटारे में डालते हैं, जिससे कि अगर कभी हमारा कोई भी फ्रेंड जो है वो लो या हाई जोन में है तो उसको उससे मदद मिले, वो अपनी फीलिंग्स को काबू में कर पाए। और इसी के साथ होता है रेजिलेंस चार्ट। रेजिलेंस चार्ट में हम अपनी जो जोन्स होते हैं वो लिखते हैं। जोन्स 3 प्रकार के होते हैं, जिनमें से होता है हाई जोन, ओके जोन और लो जोन। हाई जोन में होता है जब हमारा कोई भी एंगर इशू होता है, हम गुस्से में होते हैं या फिर हमें किसी भी चीज़ का मतलब हमारा टेम्पर हाई हो जाता है। और ओके जोन में हम रिलैक्स होते हैं, हम हैप्पी होते हैं और हमारे ऊपर किसी भी चीज़ का तनाव नहीं होता। लो जोन में जब हम आते हैं तब इसमें होता है हमारे तनाव, डिप्रेस्ड या फिर एंजाइटी फील होती है। और इन सब को काबू में करने के लिए हमारे 9 हेल्प नाउ स्ट्रेटजीज़ भी हैं, जो कि मेरी फ्रेंड आपको बताएगी। बताओ।
9 हेल्प नाउ एक्टिविटीज़ हैं ठंडा पानी पीना और अपने आसपास की आवाज़ें सुनना, अपने आसपास के रंगों को पहचानना और नंगे पैर चलकर अपने कदमों की आवाज़ें को एहसास करना और बैक काउंटिंग करना और दीवार को पुश करना।
और इसी के साथ एक और होती है जो कि हम अपने हाथों को एक साथ रख के रब करते हैं और तब तक करते हैं जब तक वो गर्म ना हो जाएं, जिससे कि हम अच्छा फील करते हैं। और इसके साथ एक और एक्टिविटी होती है, हम कमरे या कमरे के बाहर चल सकते हैं और चलने के साथ साथ महसूस कर सकते हैं कि किस प्रकार हमारा जो पैर है वो किस प्रकार से स्पर्श है किसी भी चीज़ से। तो ये होती है 9 हेल्प नाउ स्ट्रेटजीज़। इसके साथ ही हम अपने स्कूल में बनाते हैं ग्रैटिट्यूड वॉल या फिर ग्रैटिट्यूड चार्ट, जिसमें हमें अगर किसी को भी ग्रेटफुल फील कराना है, फिर ग्रैटिट्यूड शो करना है, तो हम उस पर लिखते हैं, जिससे कि हम अपना आभार व्यक्त उनसे कर पाते हैं ईज़िली। हमारे स्कूल में और भी कई सारी गतिविधियाँ होती हैं, जिसके के साथ साथ इमोशन ट्री और इमोशन व्हील भी होता है। इमोशन ट्री और इमोशन व्हील हम बनाते हैं ताकि हम अपनी भावनाओं को पहचान पाएँ। तो थैंक यू, हैव अ नाइस डे।
गुड आफ्टरनून एवरीवन, मेरा नाम है सोफिया। मैं जेके मोदी स्कूल झुंझुनू राजस्थान की स्टूडेंट हूँ। मैं आपको बताना चाहती हूँ कि मैं मेरी भावनाओं को सी लर्निंग से मैं मेरी भावनाओं को कैसे समझी और कैसे उसको और नियमित किया। तो पहले मैं मतलब क्लास में भी क्लासमेट से मेरी ज़्यादा नहीं बनती थी और लड़ाई झगड़ा करती थी, मैं मेरी भावनाओं को समझ नहीं पाती थी। तो तब से सी लर्निंग की एक्टिविटी मैंने की है, तब से मैं मेरी भावनाओं को समझने लगी हूँ। जैसे ग्राउंडिंग करती हूँ, ग्राउंडिंग के अंदर भावनाओं का पहिया, भावनाओं का वर्क्स, इससे मैं पता लगती हूँ कि मेरी भावनाओं को चेक करती हूँ। फिर उसके बाद उसको ठीक करने के लिए रेजिलेंस जोन्स को देखती हूँ कि मुझे ओके जोन में आने के लिए क्या करना होगा। फिर मैं 9 हेल्प नाउ का उपयोग करती हूँ और रिसोर्सिंग करती हूँ। इससे मैं ओके जोन में आ जाती हूँ, फिर मैं मेरी भावनाओं को समझ सकती हूँ, उसको नियमित कर लेती हूँ और इससे मुझे अच्छा भी लगता है और मैं अपनी बॉन्ड भी अच्छी होती है। इससे मैं मेरे फ्रेंड से झगड़ा भी नहीं करती और पढ़ाई भी अच्छी होती है। पहले मैं झगड़ा करती थी पर अब मैं नहीं करती, अब मुझे पता चल गया है कि उसमें मेरी गलती होती थी।
मैं एक और चीज़ आपके साथ शेयर करना चाहूँगी, वो है कि हमारे जो क्लासेस होती हैं उनमें एक्स्ट्रा पीरियड्स नहीं होते, तो हम सी लर्निंग एक्टिविटीज़ करते कब हैं। तो कोई भी क्लासरूम में अगर क्लास शुरू होती है तो उससे पहले हमारा ओके जोन में आना ज़रूरी होता है, क्योंकि अगर हम लो या हाई जोन में रहेंगे तो हम अपनी स्टडी पे फोकस नहीं कर पाते। तो इसके लिए हमारे क्लास में जो भी टीचर आता है वो सबसे पहले हमें ओके जोन में लाता है और जिसके लिए वो एक्टिविटीज़ को फॉलो कराते हैं, जिसके साथ साथ हमें भी मदद मिलती है। और अगर कभी कभार वो ऐसा कराने में मतलब करा नहीं पाते हैं तो हम क्लास के स्टूडेंट्स भी उसको लीड करते हैं। थैंक यू।
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, please join me in welcoming Geshe Lokdor, who is the director of the Library of Tibetan Works and Archives. Geshe Lokdor, please grace us with your keynote speech.
Tashi Dilek and Namaskar to all the important dignitaries on the dais. I am here primarily to express my gratitude and appreciation to all the things that you have done and you plan to do. And I'm extremely happy to attend this soft launch of the Sea Learning program in Himachal Pradesh. Relevant to the program that we are doing, I'll just share a few points. I very much want to welcome the launch of Sea Learning in Himachal Pradesh, the adopted home of His Holiness. His Holiness and the Central Tibetan Administration moved to Dharamsala in May 1960. And we, of course, in my own personal case, whenever I travel out and come back, then I see the board, welcome to Devabhumi of Himachal Pradesh. I feel very happy. So this is really, really good news. And while listening, I also got this feeling that especially in summer, many people come to Himachal Pradesh to enjoy the coolness of the climate. And now we can also not only enjoy the external coolness of the climate, but also the coolness of learning morality and ethics. In Hindi, which is called Shil, Shitalta. So we can give that Shitalta also. And second point that I would like to mention is the importance of widespread dissemination of sea learning in India. The words secularism and socialism were incorporated by the Indian Constitution in its 42nd Amendment Act 1976. So it is not something that India neglected this. And in fact, His Holiness's usage of the word secular or secularism got from this Indian Constitution. The word also means the doctrine that morality should be based solely on regard to the well-being of mankind in the present life, to the exclusion of all other considerations drawn from metaphysical beliefs. The term, as you all know, is coined in the middle of the 19th century to identify such a philosophy of life. And it is basically talking about coming up with a morality and ethics from bottom up, not top down. I feel happy when you smile at me, And you also feel happy when I smile at you. This is the bottom-up, not the top-down approach. And this is a wonderful, noble idea which is applicable to one and all, irrespective of its time and space, so that therefore it is called secular. Indian secularism is based on universal family norms, that is, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, beyond boundaries. Secularism thus stands in the context of India for equidistance from any religious formulation and insists that the secular government's social political decision must be free from religious interferences. So maintaining equidistance to all religions. That's the second point. The third point, I would like to acknowledge and thank Shri Ajay Piramal Ji and Piramal Foundation for making this possible. And I'm very happy to mention, with regard to both these programs, the Sea Learning program, now and then the science-related program which you are going to have in the next 2 days. And it is my great privilege and fortune that it is Geshe-la and me, we started this program from the scratch. And I received this letter from His Holiness the Dalai Lama, asking me, Geshe-la, and there was another Geshe, 3 of us, to come up with sea learning curriculum. I was dumbfounded, terrified. I have no idea how to make a curriculum. Then I threw the ball to Geshe-la, and he's doing such a wonderful job. And with the science also, when I first became the director of the Library of Tibetan Works and Archives, because we studied in the same school before, so Geshe-la wrote me a letter saying that now that you become the director, let us do something. Are you coming to this part of America? I said, I'm coming, Miami and other places, but no plan to come to your place. Then he said, we should do something about teaching science to the monasteries. Then I said, this is very important. I will come. Then he managed to ask the Emory, officials to send me a proper invitation, which is called Hala Distinguished Fellow. So I was able to go there, and then the university with the president thrown me a big lunch, during which I was able to encourage them how important it is to support His Holiness's great visions. So this is, to make a long story short, this is how I was involved in that also. And Geshe-la is again in this science program also doing amazing work. And the library also, since 1999, probably the first institute to come up with this science program, of course with His Holiness's blessing. And next year we are celebrating the Silver Jubilee year in Dharamsala. And before I forget, I would like to take this opportunity to again thank Emory University and also Bobby Seger Family Foundation and the Templeton Foundation. I believe that 2 of the important members are here. So there's also, before I forget, I want to mention this. And so when we had this idea of bringing forth the sea learning program, I used to go to Mumbai to give annual Buddhist teachings almost every year. And Reshma Piramal was one of the main organizers. So one day I told her that now we have this program of teaching sea learning. She said, this is a good idea, we should organize something for the teachers in Mumbai. So next year, Geshe-la and myself together, we did this sea learning teaching to around 80 teachers. And then gradually, we were lucky to get it connected to the Piramal Foundation. The fourth point that I would like to mention is to make it clear that this sea learning is based on His Holiness's writings that are based on ancient Indian knowledge. I had the privilege of working with His Holiness as his translator for over 16 years. And I was able to closely watch how he was so concerned for the well-being of whole humanity. He wrote these small booklets, Human Approach to World Peace, Compassion in the Individual, and then gradually the Ethics for the New Millennium. then beyond religion and so forth, which is now really the basis of all this e-learning program. And for His Holiness, promoting basic human values is one of the main commitment. His commitment to secular ethics pertains especially to the first and the broadest of these three commitments, the promotion of basic human values in order to benefit all of humanity. Compassion and other pro-social emotional constitute the core of these basic human values, and destructive emotions threaten human survival and well-being, and especially in today's world. I'm really tempted to say, unless we take concrete, important steps, sometimes I do feel that we are moving towards committing a global suicide. So therefore, I feel so encouraged and comfortable to have such wonderful people here, not only making your personal life meaningful, but also bringing this fresh air of harmony and happiness to the society. When I was driving in this taxi, the taxi wala told me, "Guruji, kahan ja raha hai?" मैंने बोला एक इम्पोर्टेंट द मीटिंग है, तो उसने बोला कि अब लोगों की वजह से अभी भी उम्मीद है. You see, this is because of this taxi wala. He said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to attend a conference." He said, "It is because of people like you that there is still hope in the world." I'll try to jump because we are already beyond time. Another important point that I would like to mention is we have many problems, difficulties at individual, familial, and global level, and the solution for these problems will not come from religion. It will also not come from science. It is to come from man himself and herself. That is why we need secular ethics. Especially as our communities become increasingly pluralistic, multicultural, and multi-religious, it becomes ever more apparent that we must find ways to instill common ethical values in ways that are secular and universal. Fifth point, I would like to acknowledge the very important role played by Emory University in disseminating C-learning, and would like to express my gratitude and thanks to Emory leadership through the Dean and all concerned, and especially thank Geshe Lobsang and team. Emory University has been always an unfailing supporter, be it the Emory Science Initiative or C-Learning program. And I had visited Emory University maybe over a dozen times. Geshe wanted me to come every year. So I ended up going many times. Then gradually I will now try to approach towards the closing, but I wanted to say a few words why we need ethics. People who care about human culture and civilization should be concerned about ethical issues. Ethics has to do with human conduct. It is concerned about our relationship with ourselves and with our fellow human beings. We need ethics as we are not perfect, and more importantly, we want happiness and do not want suffering. Ethics finds its foundation not on changing social customs, but rather on unchanging laws of nature. I am glad that Shri Ajiji mentioned this word, law of nature. These days, in many of my talks, I really emphasize on understanding the law of nature. One, law of nature provides us everything, as you mentioned. Second, law of nature does not make discrimination. It is us, the stupid human beings, who make the discrimination. If there is Dharamsala is an earthquake zone area. I'm not trying to threaten you, but this is zone number 5. When there is an earthquake, it will not only shake Geshe Lagdor and few others, and not the others. It will shake all of us. So similarly, if we have a famine, other problems, we'll all suffer together. For example, COVID-19 is a living experience. It did not make discrimination. We are very good in making discrimination, and then invent nuclear bombs and others to kill others and things like that. But we had hard time dealing with this invisible COVID virus. So our fight should towards not killing other people, other human beings, but dealing with the negative emotions. the root cause of all our problems. And then another important point that I would like to mention is teaching secular ethics is possible. Teaching ethics is possible, but more important thing is we need to live, we need to practice. Those of us who teach, we need to practice. We should not waste time debating what a good human man should be, just be one. And then another important distraction is distraction towards the sensual objects, pleasures. Today everybody says, I'm busy. It's not important to be busy. What is important is what are you busy about? We are primarily busy about obtaining the sensual objects, the material objects. The material objects, by definition, are physical objects. Physical objects come from minerals, waters, resources. They also have limitation. So how can you make unlimited progress from limited resources? It is because of this unchecked greed. As Mahatma Gandhi said, there is enough for everybody's need, not enough for everybody's greed. And now today we can clearly see it is because of this greed we are destroying the environment. That's one point that I wanted to mention. Another very important thing is we need to understand what it means to be a human being. How can we distinguish ourselves from animals? I'm not going to elaborate on this, there's no time. Please think about it. Then with regard to the importance of understanding the law of nature, I really wanted to make one point which will jolt you all. So I think it's better you tie your belt. The many advantages of understanding the law of nature, one point I really wanted to mention. For example, the law of nature is that we are all going to die. Not only we are all going to die, it is 100% sure that 8 billion human population that living here on this earth are all dead in 100 years counting from today. That's why the first teaching that the Buddha gave us on impermanence, including death. Why we need to know this? We need to know this because if this is your determined fate, what are you going to do for the remaining of your life? In my case, it may be another 10 if I'm lucky enough. So what am I going to do in the next? So therefore, it's important to understand the law of nature. But your physical death is not the end of the story. Your mind will go. So what kind of journey are you preparing for yourself? More importantly, your death is not the death of all humanity. What is it that you are going to leave for the next generation? So therefore, I will finally conclude by saying all our problems arise from two things, ignorance and inaction. Many of us we are completely ignorant. Hindi mein I would like to say something in Hindi. इंसान की समझ सिर्फ इतनी है कि उसे जानवर कहो तो नाराज हो जाता है और शेर कहो तो खुश हो जाता है. This is ignorance, you see. Then more than that, inaction. I know many things that I should be doing, but I'm not able to do. Inaction. So action is very, very important. So therefore, I would conclude the essential point of ethics or sea learning, according to His Holiness, where His Holiness says, if it is possible, help others as much as you can, and if you cannot help, at least do not harm. अब इसमें भी एक हिंदी माना कि औरों के मुकाबले कुछ ज़्यादा पाया नहीं. Personally speaking, I didn't get much comparing to many others. माना कि औरों के मुकाबले कुछ ज़्यादा पाया नहीं मैंने, पर खुद गिरता संभाला रहा, किसी को गिराया नहीं मैंने. I think this is too much.
Thank you, Geshe Lokdor, for such deep and inspiring words. Now we invite our esteemed guests to please rise for a group photograph to mark this momentous occasion. In this sequence, I'll invite the CBCT senior teachers first. Please come forward. नीचे ऊपर ओके ऊपर आ जाइए. मोनल जयराम, अंशु दुबे, भरत कुमार, ईशान शर्मा, लक्षिका पंत and तृप्ति मिश्रा.
तो क्या बोलना है, ये बोलना है पूरा?
हाँ, आप ये बोल लीजिएगा और दलाई लामा. Next, in the sequence, I invite शिल्पा अमरावत, तोयबा सुल्ताना, मोनल जयराम, ईशान शर्मा, लक्षिका पंत, अंशु दुबे. Thank you. Now I would like to invite the Himachal Pradesh team, Ghanshyam ji, Brijesh, Anshu, Saurabh, and Monal to come forward for a group photograph.
Thank you, everyone. Saurabh and Monal, if you all would like to share a vote of thanks before we conclude.
So thank you everyone for sharing in our joy today. We are deeply grateful to everyone who made this possible, who may or may not be here with us today. Our heartfelt gratitude to our chairman, Mr. Ajay Piramal, for always being the beacon of Seva Bhav, who inspires us to do good. The government of Himachal Pradesh for being enthusiastic partners in this endeavor, to our teachers and partners at Emory University for being our co-travelers in the journey of spreading compassion, and everyone here who has graced us with their presence in person or virtually. I would also like to thank the Dalai Lama Trust, Emory University, stakeholders, particularly students from different states, officials from different states, Chairman and CEO of the foundation, Aditya Nataraj. Thank you.
हिमाचल के स्टेक होल्डर्स जितने भी हमारे एजुकेशन डिपार्टमेंट से एक अनाउंसमेंट